Okay, so with products and services and advertising in digital channels, particularly mobile channels, you have to be a bit careful because not everything is going to work really well. So we did some research a couple of years ago actually where we looked at a whole bunch of mobile advertising campaigns for lots of different products. And we knew how those campaigns went. So they were sort of what we'd call advertising testing experiments. So some people saw an ad and some people didn't see an ad, and that was randomized. And then we measured things like favorability towards the brand, so how much I like the brand, then also importantly purchase intent, how much I'm likely to want to buy that product if I was on the market for whatever it might be. And so what we found actually was quite interesting. So on average, mobile ads didn't really do very well. They just didn't really have much of an effect in terms of things like purchase intent when you compared the group that saw the ad versus that didn't see the ad. But for some types of products, they were really effective. And what we found was they were really effective for products that we would consider or we would call high consideration goods. So oftentimes that means higher price. Not necessarily, but tends to be, if something's more expensive, we need to think more about, are we going to buy it or not? Do I need it? Do I want it? So high consideration goods, and also ones that we describe as more utilitarian in nature. So they're functional, as opposed to something that's more hedonic, which is more emotional, the sort of thing that you might buy on an impulse. So these utilitarian, high consideration goods tended to be really, really well suited to mobile advertising. So think about insurance products, for example. Think about life insurance. As boring as that sounds, you really have to think hard about it, and it's a very functional thing, as opposed to maybe buying, I don't know, a movie ticket, right? Low cost, so low consideration. It's about enjoyment. It's a hedonic good, and so they didn't work so well. So if you think about these sort of financial insurance type products or maybe pharmaceutical products, they tend to work pretty well on mobile ads. The reason for that is because mobile ad itself doesn't deliver much information. Think about what can fit on your screen. Not much. So what it has to do is jog your memory and motivate you to think about it, to think about the product or think about the brand. And we're just more motivated to think about products or brands if they're high consideration, because there's kind of more riding on that decision, and if they're utilitarian, because we need to think about, are they going to be functional, as opposed to, I don't know, my gut says it's good. And so it turns out that's kind of what we found in that research. With social media advertising more broadly, what works and what doesn't work is another thing that we've been researching here at Saïd Business School. And what we're finding there is a lot of the things that the industry say, sort of the hallmarks of effective social media advertising, actually don't make much of a difference. Really, the big thing with social media advertising is to not come across like it's an ad. If you're, say, putting out content in Facebook as a brand, if consumers perceive that as advertising, it feels like an ad. It's really polished. It's nice pictures. It clearly looks like it's ripped out of the pages of a magazine kind of thing. Then you'll get this backlash, because social media is a social place. And again, if you're sort of interrupting a consumer while they're, I don't know, on Facebook finding out about what their friends are up to, or checking in on their family on the other side of the country and someone's new baby or whatever it might be, it's pretty jarring to have an ad thrown into that mix. So effective social media advertising actually is not advertising at all, or at least it shouldn't feel like advertising or look like advertising. It needs to be a bit more social, a bit more conversational, maybe more interactive, but have a bit more of a personality to it, as if it's a person as opposed to a brand selling your product.